Happy Monday, y'all. This is Charlene from Lady in Waiting 222, and today is our Monday mini devotional. So, the scripture for today is Luke chapter 14, verses 25 and 26. The New Living Translation reads this way: A large crowd was following Jesus. He turned around and said to them, "If you want to be my disciple, you must, by comparison, hate everyone else, your father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even your own life. Otherwise, you cannot be my disciple." Now, this scripture is loaded, but I want to focus on the first part of that phrase. When I first began nursing school, this was a thought or a phrase I often heard. They often said the first semester is the hardest and it's meant to weed people out. The ones meant to be here will survive the first semester. Then we'll have a real group of nursing school students. And I can attest to that, and I'm sure anybody else who has been through nursing school, the first year really is the hardest, the first semester. But that's intentional, I believe. Um, Basically, what they said was to weed people out. So in this verse, Luke chapter 14, verses 25 and 26, I thought to myself, Jesus really is the master of weeding people out. Not intentionally, but he knows that the principles that he teaches and shares are so purposeful, not only getting to the heart of the matter, but really assessing, not for himself, but for us, who we really are and who we profess to be. It helps us to take a hard look at ourselves and our heart and ask those hard questions. But I want to focus in on this first part. It says a large crowd was following Jesus. And then he turned around and said to them, "If you want to be my disciple." And I just thought to myself, followers of Jesus are not necessarily disciples. Well, not in the beginning. It's not in the crowds. And you think about it, a lot of crowds are following Jesus. They think he's dope. They think he's in season, so to speak. They think it's cool. But you could be following him in a large crowd. It doesn't mean that you are a disciple. You see, a disciple recognizes that there is a teacher. And that word disciple, by definition in the Greek, means a learner. That is a pupil, right? A student, right? And that means that you're studying, you are sitting, you are learning from your master, the teacher, in that regard. And to be disciple means that you obey what your teacher, the master, is saying. So that's what it means to be a disciple, not just simply a follower of Jesus or following in a crowd with Jesus. And so I just read that scripture and I was just like, wow, a large crowd was following him. Yet he turned and addressed them and said, "If you want to be my disciple," which to me states that everyone who is following Jesus, particularly in a large crowd, because he may be liked, cool, trending, or what have you, doesn't necessarily mean that they are his disciples. And so I would encourage you and challenge you to look at your life, and do you fit the description of what Jesus says is his disciples? Not necessarily to hate everyone in comparison, our parents, our spouse, our siblings, our children, even our own life, but that we would not hold anyone higher than him. That in comparison, because of our level of commitment, our loyalty to him, it would seem like we don't consider those others in comparison to that. And so that's a description of what the disciple is. It's not just about following Jesus in that way, but are you really his disciple? Are you fitting that description that he says, if you want to be my disciple, you must, by comparison, hate everyone else? You see, that word hate in this particular context means to basically love less by extension. So if I'm putting my parents, my siblings, my spouse, my children, even myself above the Lord and loving Him, right, I can't be His disciple. So it's not necessarily the word hate and what we think about hate, but in comparison, we are to love Jesus so much more than we love our family, our loved ones, our spouse, right? Because the only way we can really love them well is by loving Him more, right? So that word is not hate, but it means to love less by extension, okay? And that He is first priority. That's what it means to be a disciple. That's what it means to be more than a follower of Jesus. Make sure you're fitting in the right crowd, that you're not falling into the large following, just following Him, but you're not His disciple yet. I pray that you all are encouraged, blessed, and challenged by this word today. Y'all have an amazing week, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.